From the Atlantic City Convention Center at the annual New Jersey League of Municipalities Conference, I'm Jill Horner. With me is the Mayor of Middletown Township, Tony Perry, and it's been 10 years since Superstorm Sandy. Many mayors are gathering to discuss what projects have been put in place to mitigate floods ever since. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks, Jill.
Mayor, 10 years later, 10 years after Superstorm Sandy, a storm where so many communities were so heavily impacted, your community came together to discuss the aftermath, but also really to come together and think about how far you've come as a community in the intervening decade.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to think that Superstorm Sandy has now been 10 years in the past, and it's unbelievable to see all the familiar faces that were there on October 29, 2012 and are now there, still working in the township today, still volunteering for the township. But Superstorm Sandy truly impacted Middletown in an unbelievable way. But there is, things that have now happened for the better, and that silver lining that you look for in any type of tragedy or disaster of what can we do to mitigate that and fix that. But we came together on the 10-year anniversary to reflect on the effects of Superstorm Sandy, but also to celebrate the accomplishments that the town has achieved in those 10 years to prevent something like that from being as horrific as it was back in 2012.
And let's get into the details of that, because a decade after, there continues to be an effort to strengthen and upgrade infrastructure. One of those projects is the Port Monmouth flood control projects. It's been ongoing in phases since 2013, but what's the overall scope and intention of the project?
So the Port Monmouth floodgate is truly a gateway, if you call it, because you sit on the bridge that goes over the creek there, and you look at this unbelievable new structure that now is there to protect thousands and thousands of homes and people all in the Port Monmouth area. And this now $250 million plus project is in its final phase, phase 5, where we are just completing the full gate in its entirety. So this new project is something that, as you said, has been going on since 2013, basically the entire time since Superstorm Sandy hit our shores. And we're really proud that this is entering the final phase of the project. And now the residents of Middletown are able to look at it and know that the investments that we've made, the personnel investments, the financial investments are coming to fruition, and that final effort to get it completed.
Phase 2 of the project, which consisted of a flood wall, road closure structures, tide gate, pump station, road raising of Port Monmouth Road, and Route 36 utility upgrades, is slated to be completed by the end of 2023. But what's the overall impact of this project? How will it help to mitigate the impact of future storms? And what does that mean for you as a community in terms of feeling safer when you think about future storms?
Yeah, a lot of streets over in the Port Monmouth section of Middletown are low-lying. So even in the little, tiny rainstorms that we have, you are going to see flooded streets and impacted areas. But now, in coordination with the DEP, the Army Corps of Engineers, we are able to close these floodgates, and it's an unbelievable process to watch them close. But you're mitigating any flooding that's happening in those low-lying areas of Port Monmouth. So now it's giving residents peace of mind. It's giving them the ability to know that in a rainstorm, in a tidal storm, their basements are not going to flood. They're going to be able to leave their homes because their cars are not going to be completely submerged in water. So while it is a hefty project, it's $250 million, and that cost is only going to go up even more. It's one that is so critical to each and every homeowner that has property in that area.
Let's switch topics to one that has been an issue recently for residents in Monmouth County and other counties as well. It's car theft. You've called for tougher penalties for car theft, but let's talk about the scope of the issue. Car thefts have increased, particularly in more affluent areas of the state, but what has been the experience in Middletown and the surrounding area, and what steps have you taken as a community?
Yeah, well, this is a problem that's impacting a lot of areas, and I think that there's a tremendous failure at the top of the leadership from the state level down to mitigate this problem. We have allowed this by eliminating the cash bail system and through what they call bail reform, has allowed folks to create these criminal rings that are stealing these vehicles, taking them up to our ports, and transporting these vehicles to other countries, removing the tracking systems. And it is hitting affluent areas, but it is starting to leak into cars that we all drive, right? The standard vehicles. It's not just the Lexus and the BMW and the Mercedes. They're looking at any vehicles that they can get their hands on. But what is concerning to me and concerning to a bipartisan group of mayors that all came together to call for tougher reforms was the fact that these criminals are becoming more brazen. They're willing to enter the homes. Just yesterday, you had a theft in Homedale where the criminals entered a person's home, stole their keys, stole valuables, and stole their vehicles, and the police are unable to do anything about it because these criminals know that there is no punishment for the crimes that they're committing. We release them just hours after they've been picked up. And unfortunately, it's a problem that we have to address.
You actually stationed police at your parkway entrances. Has that had an impact?
Well, it had a tremendous impact. In fact, the criminals were so agitated at the post that I had done out there on social media that they had sent me threatening emails back saying, we're still going to continue to steal from your area. But throughout many weeks when we had those police vehicles stationed out there, absolutely no thefts occurred in Middletown because we were running every plate that was coming into Middletown and going out of Middletown at exits 109 and 114. And if we can continue to move forward and show that there is law enforcement that's willing to do their job, and we give them the tools to do their job, as well as the criminal end of it, and punish these people that are doing this, then that will stop. The crime wave will eventually go down and cease.
Earlier this year, the acting attorney general did allow police to chase suspected stolen cars. Did that have an impact?
Well, the reason that the attorney general did that was because the attorney general and the governor's office got wind that this bipartisan group of mayors at the Middletown police station was meeting on Monday. They met on a Friday because that was one of the things that we were going to call for. You cannot go out there and tell criminals that the police are going to be have their powers withdrawn, that they're going to be unable to chase you, because once they were getting to 109 and 114 on the Parkway in Middletown, they knew that they were home free because the police were never going to chase them. The Middletown police didn't have the authority, and the state police wouldn't. So it was. I'm glad that the attorney general saw that did that reversal and righted that wrong. But it's a step towards, yes, doing something to stop it, but there's still a long way to go. We have to address the failed bail reforms that were put into place so many years ago.
Thanks for your time, Mayor.
Thanks, Jill.
I've been talking with Mayor of Middletown Township, Tony Perry. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast Newsmakers here in Atlantic City, and for more conversations from across the country, you can visit our website, comcastnewsmakers.com.